Hey, my name is Eli, and welcome to my page. This is a motivational page, but today is going to be something kind of a start out of a testimony of basically my life and my wife's life and what we've been through since 2020. So I figured I would start out with something sentimental and give you a deep background of who we are and what we're about before I go doing all my motivational videos that I do via TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. I want to expand into YouTube and create some better content. So with that being said, my name is Eli, my wife's name is Hannah, and back in 2019, right at the end, we met each other, and met each other through a dating website. Well, it was ironic that we were actually only like a mile apart. So she lived just down the road in the neighborhood I was living in, and I had three roommates. Okay, we all just moved in here right about the same time I met her. Like, I met her a couple months after we moved in, if that. And so everything was cool, and then her and I started dating, and she moved in, of course, and whether it was quickly or not, she moved in, and everything was going pretty smooth at that point still. So we've been there for, I don't know, give or take, 8 months, something like that. So COVID happened. COVID started happening right in between us, right at the beginning of us dating. And so, we're all getting through COVID together and whatever. So fast forward to Hannah and I start traveling, right? And we're getting serious. We start traveling down to Tennessee a lot and just exploring Kentucky and West Virginia and just doing things she's never done, I've never done, and it got to a point where the roommates, it became toxic, and I don't need to get into all the details because I'm grown and it's the past and it doesn't matter anymore. But essentially it got to the point where one day in December, one of the roommates, it was my last straw with this roommate, and so I basically was like, go up to Hannah and I'm like, hey, just pack our stuff. Like, we're not going to see eye to eye with this guy, and that's okay, and that's life. So pack our stuffs and let's figure out somewhere we're going to go, which we had no idea what we were going to do, where we were going to live, anything like that. And so December, whatever, like I said, like 18th, it was like December, I don't know, the middle of December, maybe December 12th, and super cold. It's here in Ohio, super cold. And the guy we were working for, I was working for an enterprise company delivering stuff for Menards in a box truck. That's what Hannah and I was doing during COVID. So he lets me know that his mom has a camper, like a drivable, probably Ford 80s model, old camper, in this campground that they're not using. And so we can go there and stay there for now till we figure out a plan. So we get there and there's no heat, there's no water. Obviously pipes are frozen, so there's no water at all. The people there don't even know we're living there because it's somebody else's camper. We're not even supposed to be there. They just had it there stored for like long-term payments or whatever. So we're getting in there and it's probably 10 to 20 degrees as we're figuring all this out, and we still don't know what we're gonna do. My boss at that time, who is my age, I say my boss, but he was my age, and he was more of a friend than a boss at the time. So he helps us get a small camper, and we stored that at a friend's house because at the time we had to help them still. Like, the deal was help his parents figure out what they're gonna do with that camper, because at that campground I think had some ill will against his parents, and I don't know, there's a situation happening there. So anyways, basically we helped them get that camper situated and cleaned up, or whatever our goal was supposed to be. And so at this time, it's COVID, it's 2020, heat of it, getting ready to go into 2021, but heat of COVID, and we have no restroom, we have no water, we have no heat, Mind you, me and Hannah just pretty much met each other, so this is pretty crazy. She's even sticking by my side, so keep that in mind while I go forward with the rest of this story. We have to use the restroom. Like, we had to go poop and pee in the woods. And when I say in the woods, I say there was a piece of woods that really might not have even been the campgrounds, that we had to like sneak back so we didn't see that there's long-term campers living there, so we had to sneak back there so they didn't see us or know what we were doing with like toilet paper in our hand and stuff, and you know, go to the restroom, which is weird. And I tell the story a lot sometimes when I'm talking to people that I know about, like I know, and they want to know about what we've been through. There was a point where I was going to poop in the woods, and I look around, I see the same fat squirrel I would see every day up in this tree, just munching down on something. And I'm just kind of chuckling, and then, you know, I look around, I can see where all the deer beds were, 'cause it's snowy, and you can see where all the deer had laid down the night before, that morning or whatever. And there was a thought that crossed my mind, and the worst time I've ever been through in my life, the best thought could have ever popped through my head was, it was so positive, I didn't even mean to think it. I started on, I said, this is beautiful. I don't even know what crossed my mind or why I crossed it, but I found serenity in going poop in the woods, and not trying to be a caveman, but like just from having everything to having everything stripped away from us. And you know, it was our fault, but like there was just a beauty in it, and I was like, we can get through this. Well, boom, let's factor in also we're driving all the way to probably 45 minutes away from where we're at to Planet Fitness, so that way we can get a shower, because there's nowhere we can shower. So every day we're driving to Planet Fitness. There were times we had to get into our car at night and get warm, literally go to bed in the car, because like before all this happened, we got a loan. So there were some positive things going on in our life. We got a loan for a 2022, which is 2020, or a 2017, and it's 2020 Chevy Cruze with 22,000 miles. That's where the 22 came from. 22,000 miles on it. So it was like a great deal. It was like a $12,000 car. It was perfect. So we would go out there and stay in our car and be warm or whatever. And anyways, as we're going to the restroom in the woods, we're running back and forth over 45 minutes. And then when we get bad snows, which I remember we got this really, really bad snow one time, we were coming back home, and we were going like 5 miles an hour. I mean, it wasn't a blizzard, but it was bad. Like it was something I've never drove in. And you know, of course we got home safely, and that was great. But like, so imagine all this, and then I wake up one morning and I get a text or a call, I think, from my friend, and he was like, hey dude, did you hear Tristan Ford died? And I was like, what? It's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah dude, he got murdered. And I was like, that one stung me, because there's a lot more people where I'm from that's closer with him and grew up with him. But we developed a bond that past like 2 years. Him and I developed this like really special relationship that was, we didn't see each other every day by any means, but like that day that he got, you know, taken away from all of us, I was messaging him on Snapchat, and I was asking if he wanted to go bowling with his girl. I think he's having a bad day that day or something. So I saw that on his story, and I was like, hey bro, you guys want to go bowling tomorrow or something, get your mind off it? And there was no set plans, but you know, we went back and forth about it. And so like now I'm at this point in my life where like wheels are just spinning, like wheels are not going. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm letting Hannah down, letting myself down. I didn't know if this was the right decision, just getting up and leaving that house, or if I should have made a plan. So anyways, we moved that camper to another campground because it could no longer be there because of whatever was going on with my boss's parents and the owners of the campground. We had to move the camper, and it barely drove. It was rough. There was something wrong with that engine. It took me and my boss and his stepdad a while to even get it started. We got started, and I like lumped it all the way like 20 minutes to this next campground, which was actually only about 10 minutes away, but it took forever. So basically same area. And then we're paying to have it there, so that's how we were helping his parents. We were paying $500 a month to that campground, and keeping that, you know, camper somewhere till they could figure out what they're going to do with it. So it was kind of helping each other out, which was good. And then they finally were going to go move into it, and we found a spot in this place called Newark where we could put the camper, and we thought things were getting better because the camper, meaning not the camper we were in, the camper my boss got me that I said earlier, that we had stored. So we finally had this one. It's 16 feet. It's also in the 80s. old model camper, but you know, water didn't work, but electric worked, heat worked, AC worked, so that stuff was okay. So basically it's a spring, and a spring of 2021, we move over there, and mind you that we're like our aspirations were to move down to Tennessee, because that's where like long-term camping is so prevalent, so it's everywhere there. Here in Ohio, it's like hit or miss if you can even find it, and if it is, it's like, you know, put in perspective, you can be in the Great Smoky Mountains and spend, you know, $600 or more, $600 to $1,200 a month living in a campground with the Smoky Mountains, like I said. Or up here in Ohio, they're all like $1,200, $1,300 a month. So anyways, if you don't know anything about camping and camping, long-term camping, you fill out a background, you put your first month, your last, you know, all that stuff, everything you do at an apartment, you do with them, but it's your own personal property, like camper or whatnot. So anyways, we get into this one, it's $500, so we knew we could afford 500, so we found another one in Newark that was 500, which where we're from is right in the middle of the two places we were living. So anyways, not to get off track or go too far off, we get over there and we get everything ready. And I haven't even mentioned this part, totally forgot. When we were living in that house, we purchased 2 bunny rabbits, whom eventually we started breeding, and we'd make some side money on it or whatever, but not often, or what, you know, whatnot. So with all this being said, we were making sure 2 bunnies, we didn't give them up, and we raised those bunnies till they died, and that was recently. But anyways, so now we're in the 16-foot camper. It's much smaller. We like have no room. We have, at this point, actually it's 3 rabbits. We purchased 2, and then they bred 1 that we kept, because one batch only 1 made it, so we kept that one. So we have 3 rabbits at this point in a 16-foot camper, and then in a new campground, we're like, oh, we'll just get this nice little tent, like a big tent, and we'll put our storage stuff in there. And it was kind of temporary, because obviously we need a storage unit, or we needed something else better than that. But for then, like, that's where, okay, we have all this room, we have all of our clothes and our totes inside this camp, so it's kind of like our little storage unit slash like garage right next to our camper, but on our lot. Well, I come back home from work that day, and I got a note that was just like jerkish note from the owner, and he basically was like, this ain't no, I forget if he called it a trailer park or a trash park, I don't know, but he was basically like, you can't have a tent set up next to you. We're at a campground, and even though you're long-term camping with a RV, we can't have tents here. It's like, oh, go figure. That's just it couldn't have been whatever. So that's happening. Then boom, I get word while we're at work, like that next week or sometime around that time, my buddy Cole just overdosed. So Cole wasn't even doing drugs. Like what? Like one of my best friends, I would consider, he was new to our school, but one of my best friends I played football with, he was running back, I was a running back, and like that one tore me up, because I was just then getting over, you know, what was going on with Tristan. And I guess to back up, before we moved into this place and when that happened with Tristan, I thought about taking my own life at one point, not because of just that but just the function of how everything just mapped itself out and how it all just kept whirlwinding. I was like, I just felt like I had no hope, and one day I don't know what I said, but I went outside in the freezing cold, and Hannah knew I was upset, and I wasn't mad with her. I wasn't mad at her. This was just like a me thing. I was just battling my own demons, and you know, I come back in and she has this little note, which I have somewhere, on a paper plate, because we didn't have anything else besides paper plates. That's what we were eating off of, because we didn't have water. So it basically was like, you know, you mean a lot to me, and you matter. Like, I want to be with you and nobody else, which obviously like pulled me out of the gutter. I was like, why would somebody want to be with me with all this going on? So anyways, that was the section I totally skipped over a little bit. It's very important to me, but it is kind of hard to share. So anyways, we were at this campground in Newark. That happens with the note, and I look at Hannah and I'm like, let's get on the phone. Mind you, by this point, we have called several times before we got into that Newark one, of places in Tennessee to try to find long-term camping, and they're all like, hey, we're booked out for like 2 or 3 or 4 years, like you gotta get on a waiting list. So I tell Hannah, I'm like, let's call one more time. We were on our way to work the next day after we took our tent down. That, you know, that guy gave us that note, whatever. We got the rabbits safely put in. We got everything, you know, somewhat figured out, and call this place, and it's called Gateway to the Smokies. And her name was Stacy. She answered. She's like, Yeah, of course, we have 2 long-term sites. Those are $400 a month at that time. Not now. Everything's changed since then, but $400 a month. You know, I think water is to get, like, you know, you only pay your electric and your rent. So water's included and cable's included and stuff. They check your electricity and then they collect your rent. And I'm like, well, that's an amazing deal. I have a buddy that wants to come down there in the next couple weeks. Actually, I think it was like the next week or the week after. And I was like, can I come down? If I like it, put our deposit down. She got to put a deposit down and all that fun stuff. And she's like, yeah, of course. We get down there, love it, immediately know, like, this is it. So we boogie down there in May. I believe it was like May 15th. We get down there, and it's just paradise. We moved into Pigeon Forge, and it was just so surreal because we had been through so much, and it just didn't feel like it was actually happening. It was hard saying goodbye here, but on the same note, there was so much bitterness I had, and just sadness, and like both my friends passing, and just the whole idea of everything we went through. And now it's starting to get warm, especially down there in the south. I'm like, you know, this just doesn't even feel real. So we get some jobs, and we were like adventure guides, which was super amazing. I thought that was a really fun job. Really enjoyed it. You could push people past their limits and really motivate them. And so it was really fun. It was a good time. I mean, they worked us like dogs, put us through the ringer every single day, like 13-hour days from open to closed, and closed was like 1 a.m. But it was fun. It was a good time, and we stayed there for a year, and then some, you know, God calls us back up north, and I wanted to come up here and help my parents, just help my parents with their property. And you know, my dad was on disability at the time, and it was new and fresh, and you know, none of us really knew what was going on or what was going to happen. So just wanted to be here for the family and didn't want to regret things. And like I said, for some reason God was just calling us back up here. So we bring that little 16-footer up here, and we post it on their property, and you know, we don't know what we're going to do next at all. And you know, it's funny how God will work, because one day my sister gave me a call and was like, hey, will you come tear out my deck? The guy at the time she was dating stepped out on the deck, and the dog had been peeing on his deck for like years. So this guy fell through it because the dog just been, you know, killing this wood. So she's like, yeah, I can't have that happen again. He was okay. She was like, he's fine, but we need to fix that. And I'm like, okay, of course, no problem. Let's do it. We get over there, we tear it all out. I'm like, you know, you could utilize this space still. We could build stairs to like your house, and you would be able to, you know, sit out here. We'll make it like a pea stone patio or something. She's like, oh, I love that idea. Yes, let's do it. So we do it, and it's a great time. She comes out with these breakfast burritos, which were amazing. And she's like, hey, just wondering, you know, you guys work really well together, and you guys have always worked together. Why don't you guys try to start your own business? I'm like, you know what? I didn't really think about that. We don't know what we're doing, you know, and this is a good point. So in 2022, we started up a landscaping business in a Chevy Cruze. We would put the push mower in the back of the trunk, which it like folded down. It was like a Honda mower, so like folded down perfectly and sat in the back perfectly. And then we had like an electric weed whacker, an electric blower, and we were good to go. And so that turns into much bigger scale than we ever dreamed, including now. We worked hard, and we couldn't get into a truck. We couldn't get out of our car to get into a truck because of negative equity and this, that, and the third, and the things that we could afford, just we couldn't get into if we could get into a truck. So, and we, like, you know, probably a year later, probably in 2023, we get a 2018 Chevy Equinox. And I couldn't get the one with the hitch on it. They wouldn't. It was more expensive, and they couldn't give me approved for it. But we got one, and they're like, you can always put a hitch on it. I'm like, you know, you're right. You can go to U-Haul and get a hitch put on there. So we start grinding. We keep grinding. We don't stop. And then I promised me and Hannah that when I get a hitch on there is when somebody calls me is when I'll get a hitch. Like, somebody calls me for mowing is when I'll get a hitch, because it's not like I'm gonna be able to haul a bunch of stuff, like, you know, anything crazy. But so we get the hitch because someone called me, and she was like, I just, family friend, and she's like, I'm not happy with my lawn care guy right now. I know you guys do good work and you're honest. I was like, perfect. You're the phone call I've been looking for. I don't have a hitch on my trailer, my vehicle yet, and that's the reason I was gonna get one if somebody calls. She's like, no, don't go buy a hitch just for me. I'm like, no, like, you're the reason. Like, I set a goal, and you're the goal that's being accomplished. So no, we got you. So we do that, and then we keep growing, and then 2024, we needed a truck. Like, we needed a truck. And I couldn't get out of the Equinox, so I'm like, well, I guess a second payment is the best thing I can do. So we find a F-150, 2013, perfect for what I needed. I think it had like 130,000 miles on it. It's a great engine. It's solid, the frame is solid, and I'm like, yep, that's it. And we move forward to 2025. Because now it's 2026, so we move forward to 2025. We rock out that year with the Equinox and the truck, and then in the winter, that winter, which was last winter, 2025 was last winter. We deliver for Amazon Flex, so we basically, that's how we stay afloat in the winter, and then come this year, I was like, we gotta get out of the Equinox. Like, my wife she was driving the Equinox, I'll drive the truck. I was like, she needs 4-wheel drive, because there was a couple times she got stuck and she got put in a couple of crappy situations. So anyways, I missed a step in between 24 and 25. Hold that thought, I'll come back to that, getting the Equinox traded out. Well, we have this big discussion where we've been up here for so long, we've ran a business, we're growing, we know what we're doing, we know how to do, what to do, and so we basically are contemplating moving back down to Tennessee. And I don't know if I can clip that out, but we'll see. That sucks. Okay, so basically we're having a discussion about if we want to move down to Tennessee again and try it all over again. And this was last year around this time, July, right at the end of July, right around August. We were contemplating it, so we're religious, and I was like, well, let's go make a trip down there. Let's go down for 8 days, 9 days. Let's pray before we go down there and ask God to give us signs, right? So just give us signs about if this is it, if this is what we should be doing. And we get down there. I think the first day we're driving, we go somewhere we always go, and we pass this like tattoo shop we've seen. It's just overgrown. I was like, Hannah, on our way back, remind me. We're going to the river or something. It's like, remind me to stop there and ask them if they want a quote. I don't have any tools. Think about this. I have no tools. We have nothing with us. And I think we were in our Equinox. Yeah, we were definitely in our Equinox at the time. And I go in and we talk to the owner, and she's like, yeah, I've had like a bunch of guys come in here. No one's giving me a quote. That'd be awesome. Give me a quote. And I told her, like, we're from out of state, but here's our plan. Here's what we're thinking about doing. We might move back here. And go up to the library immediately, come right back, give her a quote, and I lowballed it pretty good. And she's like, cool, see you tomorrow. I was like, awesome, I gotta go rent tools from Home Depot, but I'll see you tomorrow. Or whatever, the next day. It was like 2 days later, I don't know, it was one of the next days. We go there, we bust out a bunch of work. She tips us, she's sweet, they're amazing. And then everywhere I went, like, there was a guy in a God t-shirt. There was somebody coming up to me and talking to me about God. There was one point we went to this deli and we talked with them about God. Then I parked my car somewhere away from the deli to eat by the river. Then I see a homeless lady, and I go down and give the homeless lady half my food. And then I see she has dogs, so I go up and I have dog food because I have a dog. So I always, when we travel, keep cans in the car for whenever our dog's hungry. Bring down some dog food for her dogs. She had one that was like, dude, like 22 years old. Like, this dog was, dude, I don't know how it was even alive. And she's talking to me, and she, she's going on, and she's like giving me amazing testimonies and just amazing, like, kind of life advice. in like through religion and Christianity, and then I look and I see her Bible, and like I almost got real emotional because I seen like where her Bible, like she was, what part of her Bible she was still in, and like her little bookmark is what I mean. And it was such a surreal moment. It really felt like just a real angel was in front of my face talking to me. And then that night we go and eat at the deli again, but we were getting ready to go meet my friends like friends from Tennessee at a fair down there. So we stopped and get food because I'm not a big fair food guy anymore. And I go in, I tell the ladies about it, and they're loving it. Like the ladies in the deli, I tell them what she said, and like some of the things they said that morning, this lady just said, and this lady's homeless, doesn't even know you guys. Like just the way the spirit was working, man, it was just so cool, incredible to watch. And the next day we go